All right, let's talk about customer journey mapping. And look, I want you to forget the usual stuff for a minute. The sticky notes, the giant whiteboards. We're going to treat this for what it really is. A strategic compass. A tool designed for one thing and one thing only, driving serious revenue growth. So let me ask you a question, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Do you really know your customer's path to purchase? I don't mean the neat little funnel you drew up in a meeting. I'm talking about the actual, messy, real-world journey they take. Because that gap, the one between what you think happens and what actually happens, that's exactly where deals go to die. And that gap is a lot wider and, frankly, more dangerous than most people realize. Think about this. Today's buyer interacts with an average of 6 different touchpoints before they even think about making a purchase. 6! That's 6 different chances to win them over or to completely drop the ball. And let's be real, managing that kind of complexity is tough. This brings us to what I like to call the modern customer chaos. And the subtitle here really says it all, why old assumptions are costing you revenue. You see that simple straight-line sales funnel we all learned about? It's basically a museum piece now. The reality is a tangled web, and if you're still relying on those old maps, you are absolutely leaving money on the table. And the consequences of being lost in this chaos, they are very, very real. I mean, without a clear map, you're flying completely blind. You have no idea where those critical moments of influence are. You can't spot where people are getting stuck or just giving up. And you're left wondering why they went with your competitor. So the big question becomes, how do you bring order to all this? Well, the answer is simple. You create a map. This is exactly where journey mapping stops being a marketing exercise and becomes your strategic compass. It's the tool that lets you take all of that complexity and turn it into a real, sustainable, competitive advantage. So what are we really talking about here? Stripped down to its core, customer journey mapping is just the process of visualizing every single interaction a customer has with your business. I mean, everything, from the moment they type something into Google all the way to the day they become a raving fan who tells everyone about you. And here is the most important part. This is a fundamental shift in thinking. It's about moving away from guesswork and what we think our customers do. It's a framework that forces you, in a good way, to replace all those internal assumptions with cold, hard, data-driven insights about what people are actually doing. Okay, so how do we actually build this thing? Well, a good map needs structure. And we can break the journey down into 5 clear stages of growth. This is the path that takes someone from not even knowing you exist to becoming one of your most valuable advocates. It all starts with awareness. That's just when a customer realizes they have a problem or a need. Then they move into consideration. They start researching, looking at their options, checking you out. After that comes the decision stage. This is where they narrow things down and get ready to pull the trigger. But it doesn't stop there. Delivery and experience is where you have to prove you were the right choice. And if you nail that, you get to the final stage, loyalty and advocacy, where they come back for more and, even better, bring their friends. So how do you actually build one? Well, it's a pretty clear process. First, you've got to define your customer personas. Who exactly are you talking to? Then you identify every single touch point. From there, you map out what they're doing, what they're feeling, and where the pain points are. Step 4 is key, finding those friction spots where people drop off. Then you align your content and messaging to each stage. But honestly, the most important step is the last one. You have to continuously measure and optimize. This map isn't a static document you hang on the wall. It's a living, breathing tool. Okay, that all sounds great, but let's get to what really matters, the real business payoff. I'm talking about the measurable ROI, because at the end of the day, this is all about the impact on your bottom line. And the data here is pretty incredible. According to the Aberdeen Group, companies that really nail customer journey mapping, they see an average increase of 35.4% in annual revenue. Let that sink in. That is not a small bump. That is a massive growth driver. And it's not just about getting new customers through the door. The impact goes way beyond that. Those same companies see a 37.4% jump in customer satisfaction. And we all know what that means, right? Higher satisfaction leads directly to better retention, more referrals, and a much higher long-term customer value. But beyond the raw numbers, there's another huge benefit here, and it's an organizational one. A really good journey map is a silo buster. It forces your marketing, your sales, and your customer experience teams to stop working in their own little worlds and align around a single unified strategy. The focus shifts from what's my department's goal
to what does the customer need to succeed.
And this isn't just for one type of business. This framework is incredibly versatile. For a B2B company, maybe the journey starts with some educational content and ends with a sales call. For an e-commerce brand, it might be all about going from a social media ad to an easy checkout. A local service business, they're looking at the path from a Google search to a contact form. The tactics change, sure, but the underlying strategy, it is exactly the same. Now, of course, this isn't some magic bullet. To get this right, you have to be aware of the common pitfalls that can sink the whole effort. So let's do a quick reality check for a successful implementation. Look, most of the time when these initiatives fail, it's for some really predictable reasons. Number one, relying on assumptions instead of actual data. Huge mistake. Or you've got teams staying in their silos and not collaborating. Another big one is a lack of visibility across channels. You can't map what you can't see. And then there's treating the map as a one-and-done project instead of a living tool. And finally, my personal favorite, overcomplicating the whole thing so much that nobody ever actually does anything. You have to avoid these traps. And here's a stark reminder of why this is so critical. Gartner found that a staggering 77% of B2B buyers say their last purchase was complex. Think about that. Your customers are already feeling overwhelmed. They're already in the chaos. So the real question is your process a lifeline that simplifies things for them, or are you just adding to the noise? So I'll leave you with this to think about for your own organization. Are all of your teams, marketing, sales, service, are they all navigating with one single map, one that's pointed directly at the customer? Or is everybody using their own compass, pointing in different directions and just kind of hoping you all end up in the same place? The answer to that question, well, that's something worth mapping out.